Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, brother man? Brother man? Bro? Brohemian? Brohamski? Anyways, I really wanted to make this video really quick. I'm on the road. But anyways, I want to make this video about changing the way you think, which changes the way you act, which changes literally the outcome of your life. This is not positive thinking because this is not positive thinking or mysticalness, It's not like, oh, I'm just going to think really, really happy and happy thoughts and things like this. No, this is actually going to take a little bit of effort and renewing the way you think and changing the way you think and how you view things. It actually takes effort because it forces you to think about what you're thinking about. It forces you to be cognitive and present and aware and alert of what you're thinking about. Think about this. I'm going to put it right there. Most of what you think about and most of the ideas in your head that you think are yours is not yours. This is what I mean. Let me explain. So the reason why I would say that to you, bro, the reason why I would say that to you is because it's pretty much true. Ever since we were a baby, ever since you're a little child, you didn't just come up with original ideas, right? You did things instinctively, like reaching out, grabbing mama's hand, eat. Yeah, just simply saying eat or mom or baba or bottle and things like this. Those words were taught to you. Dada. Say dada. See, someone said, say it. They gave you a word to say, right? And you're like, yeah, but that's not an idea. That's not how I think. That was just a word that they gave me. Newsflash, y'all. Newsflash, bro. Words encapsulate ideas. The whole point of language is for us to communicate ideas. Think about a word and think about language as a delivery truck like the one that's currently in front of me, and think about language like a delivery truck that you put an idea in and then you send it to somebody, and then when they receive it, as long as they are on the same frequency, or as long as they understand what the product is or the idea is, i.e. they speak the same language, okay, they're going to receive that idea. And even if you speak the same language, I do understand you can use a word, and to one person in the South it means this, and to another person in the North of the United States it might mean something totally different. Let me give you an example on that, and I'm going to spin back around of how words encapsulate ideas and how you don't think the thoughts that you actually think. They don't proceed from you. They usually proceed from somebody else who planted them there, most of the time either using words or impressing upon you an action and experience that you learn, okay? So for instance, how one word in English can mean something totally different in a different environment or atmosphere. For instance, I did time in prison. I'll tell you more about my later on, but I'm sure that just piqued your understanding. How'd you do time in prison? What'd you do? To my regret, I regret this, but I'm past that, but I'm going to have to share it the way that I'm sharing it right now, that I basically did a drive-by. I shot somebody, no co-defendants, got caught 5 minutes later, and it wasn't for the shooting. It was actually for a DUI. I got caught with 2 clips, a gun, the fingerprints, and 3 witnesses pointed me out, so I had no co-defendant. I was facing 25 to 30 years. The person that did survive, thank God, but I was facing 25 to 30 years, only got 3. I know. You're like, tell me more. No, I'll tell you more in a different video, but it was pretty much a miracle from God that I got 3. Anyways, how does this have to do with words encapsulate ideas? Well, pretty easy. When I say I shot somebody, you thought about a word. When I said prison, you thought about an idea, and all of these things. Probably even when I said a miracle from God, you had an idea. Maybe you were like, amen, and maybe you're like, miracle, sure. Either way, these words and these terms and these phrases and this language is producing an idea in you. Why did I tell you about me going to prison? Because outside, man, I hear people use the word weird a lot. They use, man, you're weird. He's weird. Oh, my son's weird. They're so weird. Okay, so you guys understand? I did that. I did that in jail when I was awaiting trial. And I said that about my brother, and I didn't know that there were rules, that there were words that were off limits that you don't use unless you want to relate a certain idea to the person hearing. And that one of those words is weird. And we were having a talk and a conversation, and I was talking to them about my brother, and I was like, oh man, that guy's weird. And then they all stopped, and the guy who had the keys, right, my Uso Jr., he was the OG, he had the keys to the car. He said, wait, bro, what? Your brother's weird? He's a weirdo? I said, yeah, man, that guy's a weirdo. He's like, what? You understand what a weirdo means? He's like, I just, your brother's a pedo? I said, what? He said, man, I don't want this to get flagged by YouTube, but you know what I mean by that. A person who does things and violates younger people, younger children. Said, no way. What are you talking about? He goes, that's what that word means in here. Do not use that word carelessly. That's what I'm trying to say. When I said weirdo, we're thinking like weird science, or he's weird. He's just a little strange. No, man. In some cultures, in some environments, words that you may use can have a different idea and a different meaning, even though you speak the same language. I think words, even in the context of you having the same language, what determines their meaning is more so the culture or the subculture that surrounds it. And for instance, and for example, me explaining to you that word weird to people out here in the free world, who've never been in prison, means one thing, but once you go into that place, it means a totally different thing. That's what I mean by words encapsulate ideas, and that's what I mean by most of the thoughts that you probably think is not you. And that's why it's important to think about what you are thinking about. For instance, I would say that we act on belief systems that's been implanted to us that we have not questioned before, more than we realize. We're on autopilot more than we realize. We act on assumptions more than we realize, and rarely do we think about what we think about. Or maybe you may be different, but I would say we really want to think about what we think about. So for instance, I was just having this conversation with my brother, and he sent me a link of Earl Nightingale. And Earl Nightingale, I'm not sure if you know, he was a radio personality, and he had a whole bunch of other titles, but he spoke about success and, in a way, in some other forms, how to renew your mind, right? How to train your mind and how to succeed and these different. Anyways, he said, man, I really like Earl Nightingale's version of the word success, or his definition of the word success. Now, I'm going to say that word to you, success, successful. Now, what thought did that bring up in your mind? What idea came to mind? Was it a wad of cash? Was it a Lamborghini? Was it you being with your family? Was it you getting a promotion at your job? Or was it your business succeeding? Meaning your business meeting a certain goal, or the growth of your business? Was it you getting your diploma? Was it you getting your college degree? You getting a certificate? Was it you finishing this apprenticeship program? All of those things, right? Is it money? Most of the time when you hear, oh man, he's a successful person, people think of a business mogul. They think of a singer. They think of an actor. They think of a celebrity, a YouTube influencer. And although those people may be successful, here's the funny thing. If they never set out to do those things, then they're not. If they're not happy and satisfied and joyful and fulfilled in their life, then they're not. They're not successful. Okay? Sometimes successful is a person who said, I'm not going to drink alcohol anymore, and they choose not to. And not choose, they make a decision not to, and they live their life sober. That person successfully met their intent and their goal. So Earl Nightingale's definition of success, which is I really like, this has always been mine, is the progressive realization of a worthy goal that you set out to do. So basically, mission accomplished. If you aimed to go here to there and you got there, you succeeded. Okay? Pilots succeed all the time when they take the plane off and when they land the plane. Okay, so basically the point is we want to renew the way we think about things, especially about words and definitions. Listen, man, Our definitions matter because definitions produce meaning, and how we view things and what they mean to us matters. And they can either keep you stuck and limited, or they can free us up. And so, anyways, so what I wanted to share, where's that at? I'm at a stoplight right now. Maybe I can look at it. I said, not every thought that you think or goes through your mind is yours. That also means that you don't have to tolerate every thought that goes to your mind. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm sad. Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, all these thoughts are, oh man, I'm never gonna do that, or oh, I'm a failure, or oh man, I can't do that, or oh man, this is hard. Not every thought that goes to, or oh man, I'm angry, or oh man, I'm frustrated. No, those all have to do with your senses. What you did was you trained your mind to attribute meaning to that specific sensation whenever you felt it. So what you did was frustration, you attributed meaning to frustration, and then you basically create an identity around it. So when I feel this, this is what I am. No, that's not what you are. You just feel that. You can make a whole completely decision, a whole different decision to do and act another way. You don't have to act the way your feelings tell you to act. You are not a body. Let me share this with you. Now, you don't have to be a person of faith. You don't have to be spiritual. You don't have to be religious. I'm a spiritual person and I'm a man of faith, right? Now, in the Bible, there's a place where it mentions your whole spirit, your whole soul, and your whole body. I believe mankind, human beings, come in three parts: spirit, soul, and body. Okay? The spirit is what animates the body. The soul is the person, the personality that you see, and the body is the encasing, the earth suit in which you live in. You are not an earth suit. You are not a feeling. You're not an emotion. You don't have to be these things. You don't have to allow these things to control you. I'm not saying that this is easy. It's not necessarily easy. It can be as you put in the work, like walking was once hard and now it's easy because of repetition. I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying that I believe it's truth. You're not a body, so I'm not a body. I'm not a simple sensation. I can choose not to obey that sensation. I can choose not to listen to that thought, right? I'm more than that. What I believe I am is I'm a spirit that has a soul and lives in a body. So I'm a spiritual being, have an earthly experience, and a lot of times what happens is that we flip that. Either way, if you don't believe that, this can still help you. Anyways, so let's say you think a thought and it's an extremely negative thought. You don't have to claim that thought. You can have another thought. If you don't like the thought that you're having, you can have another one. You can choose. Well, that's just like denial. That's just like faking it till you make it. What are you talking about? Faking it till you make it. That's the greatest expression of autonomy that you can have, is in the moment of, let's say you've always thought this way and one day you decide not to. In that moment you go, yeah, brain, yeah, mind, I've thought that way before, but today I choose to think differently. I choose to have a different thought. I choose to replace that with truth. I choose to replace that with this thought. Or I choose to replace that with this perspective. Do you see how powerful that is? That actually works. Now, I would say that as you attempt to replace it, don't focus on what you don't want to be. Don't focus on what you don't want to think. Instead, focus on the solution. Focus on what you do want to be. Focus on what you do want to think. So, for instance, instead of saying, oh man, I don't want to be fat anymore. I don't want to be lazy anymore. Oh man, I don't want to be out of shape anymore. Thinking about what you don't want doesn't change or produce a solution. Instead, focus on what it is that you want to replace this specific thing that you don't want with. So, for instance, instead of going, I don't want to be lazy anymore, simply go, I'm going to go to the gym. Go to the gym for 15 minutes. I'm going to go for a walk. I want to go for a walk. I'm going to go for a walk. Now what happens is that you give your mind, you give your focus, and you give your attention. Okay, the word attention comes from the word attend, and the word attend basically means to serve something. You give your mind something to serve. You give it an idea to work toward. And that idea is go for a walk. So your mind will find all the things necessary to do in order for you to go for that walk. So instead of thinking about what you don't want, the thought you don't want, think about the thought that you do want. And you say, well, I don't know how to think these thoughts, or I don't know how to replace it. What do I replace it with? I replace it with truth, what I believe to be objective truth. And I believe I find that truth in the Bible. You don't have to, again, but you can still learn from these principles. For instance, if you're saying, well, how can I learn from the principles if I don't believe what you believe? Well, do you believe that you should treat others the way you want to be treated? Yeah, okay. You don't believe in a God, but then you also believe in that principle. Do you think that principle works? I think that principle works. What about thou shalt not murder? You think that principle works? That commandment works? I think it works. You know what I mean? So there's certain principles that you can use even though you don't believe what I believe. And so I latch on to truth, right? But more than me trying to accomplish a goal, and more than me trying to just change my thoughts, I focus on identity. Who the word says that I am, who God says that I am. Now you can focus on who you want to be. Okay, what does the ideal person look like? He's integral. He's persevering. He's caring. He's articulate. Um, um, these different things. He's active. He's focused. He's a go-getter. Then you find out what that person is, that identity, and then you simply change your habits to match up with that identity. Then you'd be like, well, how's this going to help me if I have real problems that need solving right now? Well, how is that not faking it till you make it? How is that not positive thinking, right? Because it actually has real effects in real life. If you change the way you think, you change the way you act. And it's your actions in real life, in real creation, in the real material world that get you real results. Your actions are the output, right? And then you get input based on what you actually do, okay? But you first have to change this so that your actions have an aim. So it's not necessarily positive thinking. It's literally changing the way you think so you can change what you do, and what you do will change your surroundings. It will change your environment. It will change your life. So focus on that. Don't focus on, oh man, this is imposter syndrome. Oh, I feel this way. I feel that way. The only reason why it feels like you're an imposter is because your brain has believed one thing for so long, and you've attributed meaning, and you've said that this is what I am, and now you're choosing to change. It's going to take some time. It's not going to happen right away. You're going to have to persevere a little bit. But either way, you got to get going. This is the way. And the other thing is the way you help yourself is this thing right here, your mouth, right? There's a proverb that says the tongue holds the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. And then there's another one that says a man will be satisfied, his stomach will be satisfied by the words of his mouth, by the fruit of his lips shall he be filled. And you're like, okay, here we go again, this name it, claim it, you say it, you get it kind of thing. No. Basically, it's been scientifically proven that the number one voice your brain listens to, its number one trainer, approximately like 26 times faster, is your own voice. That's why if you really want to learn something, you should teach it, record yourself teaching it, and listen to yourself teaching it back. You'll get convinced that much faster, or you'll learn it that much faster from your own voice. So it's actually really, really important, because when you speak, you reinforce this idea. Okay. In fact, I would go as far as saying that changing the way you think is more important than acting. How you think is more important than how you act. Reason being is because you can act a certain way for a while, but if you don't actually think that way and you're not thinking about what you think about, you don't really uh, uh, you're not really mindful and cognizant about your thoughts. Sooner or later you're going to default to what you really believe. So that's why you notice people, their New Year's resolutions, or they have a goal and they lose this much weight, and then, like, 5 months later, 2 months later, they gain it all back. It's because they never truly changed their identity, so they can't occupy that place of change that they got to. They could only get there to a certain. Here's another proverb. It says this: a man slow to anger is better than a man who takes a city. A man who controls his spirit than a mighty man. So a man who controls his anger or controls his temper is better than a man who takes a city, who literally takes a city over. And a man who controls his spirit. The word spirit in Hebrew is the word in Hebrew for spirit is ruach, which means breath. Also, breath and spirit is the same. They use the same word. A man who controls his breath, his spirit, is better than a mighty man. Why? Because a mighty man may be able to take a city, but the character flaws in him of him not being able to control his temper and having bad habits and issues like that will cause him to also lose it. All right. So the point is that you first want to change the way you think. Change the way you think based on who you want to be, and make that person who you want to be your goal and your aim. Because when you become, and as you become that person is the person that accomplishes things. That person is the person, not only do they accomplish things and go places, but they're also able to maintain where they went. They're also able to solidify and maintain that ground. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, change the way you think, you change your reality. Where the head goes, the body follows. So I've been doing martial arts for a while now, since like years, like 14, 15 years, from wrestling, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and stuff like that, right? And in pretty much all of those things, if you can control a person's head, you can control their body. If you can make them look a certain way and distract them, bang, 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 jab, and they can't see it, boom, they get hit with the left, boom, they get hit with the right. Or you blind them here, and all of a sudden the leg's coming up, boom, they get hit right there. Or in wrestling, you control the head, you snap the head down, what are they going to do? They're going to want to go up, boom, you go and shoot you shoot a double. So wherever the head goes, you can steer the head, the body follows. Steer your head. You can do it. You can do it. There's another proverb, man. I'm just going to hit you guys with these because they're actually fruitful. Think about these things. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it proceeds the issues of life. Guard your mind and your heart, man. Whatever you allow in here, and to just curate and to just, just stay there and simmer, sooner or later it'll come out. So you want to guard your heart. That also means that guard good ideas as well. Guard great ideas. If you have great habits, guard them. If you have a good outlook on life, guard it. Don't let nobody come and bring you down, bro. Don't let nobody do that. Okay. Man, we went over the whole thing already. Check that out. All right. How do I do this? Again, you find out who you want to be and you align everything, all your habits, to be like that person. Here's an example from the book Atomic Habits, by James Clear. He spoke about a dude who I think he traveled with, and the guy had a great habit to run, and so good that they were at a hotel. It was in a cold place and it was raining, and he couldn't really go out to run because of certain issues. So the man completed his miles. I think it was like 6 miles, running up and down the halls of the hotel. And James was like, man, you're really committed to your goals. And he was like, nah, man, I just run because I'm a runner. You see, it's an identity habit. It's a keystone habit. He runs based on his identity. He doesn't run to fulfill a goal. He's already convinced himself. He believes, I'm a runner. So even when the man's feeling under the weather, he still finds a way to move and run. It's the same thing with me, man. I'm an active person. I'm a martial artist. I'm an active person, right? So I don't need motivation to work out. It's who I am. I'm a mover. I'm a shaker, right? This is what I do. I don't sit down all day. I enjoy these things. This is part of who I am, right? So That's another form. That's a what's the word? That's another piece of advice. Get keystone habits and don't let them go. Keystone habits, cornerstone habits, habits that if you don't accomplish them, they affect every part of life. But if you do accomplish them, it's like a domino effect that hits other parts of your life. So, for instance, if you want to eat right, you should probably start exercising first and become an avid exerciser and learn to exercise all the time. And how about live an active lifestyle? Now, by living an active lifestyle, what will start happening? You start feeling better, thinking more clearly, which will probably get you to want to start eating better. Eating better will have a domino effect in other places in your life. Health, in your health. And when your health is doing better, you start looking better. When you start looking better, guess what? You got a little bit more confidence. So if you were looking for a girlfriend, you were looking for a boyfriend, whatever, now you have a bit more confidence, and it all started from that habit, right? So when you get that goal or you succeed in the aim progressively that you were aiming for, don't stop that habit, because it's that habit that is responsible for a lot of this. Another thing, the same thing with finances, get a keystone habit, right? Mentally, get a keystone habit. One of my keystone habits are every day I move, I exercise, I'm doing martial arts, right? Every day I read the word, I read the Bible, and every day I learn. I'm always learning, and I'm always thinking, and I'm always implementing. So, so that's that. I got to get going. Um, I hope this helps. Leave a comment. Let me know if you agree, bro. Let me know if you disagree. Um, and let me know if you want to hear more about some life stories like going to prison and what I learned from that, and if that can help you out. You may not be that person, but you may know somebody who that could help out. Let me know. All right. Other than that, peace out. Love y'all. Love you. God bless.